Hello, thank you for joining me. I'm Deborah Casagrande, your spiritual awakening coach and spiritual intuitive, here to help you make sense of your spiritual awakening. I'm so glad you found this video because I want to help you recognize the signs of awakening and get you off on the right foot. So stay with me to the end because I'm also going to explain the difference between Kundalini and Ascension. Now, there's a lot of material out there, far more than there was when I was awakened back in 1999. At that time, Kundalini Awakening was relatively unknown in the West, and honestly, I had no one to turn to for support, especially not the medical community who wanted to treat my spiritual crisis with pharmaceuticals. Now, not everyone experiences awakening as a spiritual crisis. You might be awakening slowly, gradually becoming more and more intrigued by esoterica, the occult, spiritual teachings. Do you spend more money on crystals and tarot cards than Starbucks? Or maybe you're meditating or doing yoga for spiritual practice. You might be Googling ascension symptoms, trying to make sense of new sensitivities to light, noise, or foods that before never gave you issue. Maybe you feel a little lost or depressed, like the things that used to bring you joy now seem superficial, or certain people in your life could be rubbing you the wrong way as your energy frequency changes. You might even feel a bit alien in your body, like you're in the spiritual closet and that you're hiding a secret spiritual identity from your family and friends. So a combination of these things can be signs that you're in the process of awakening. If you have a look around my blog, I have other articles that go deeper into this. But above all, what you really need to know is that spiritual awakening is also an energetic process, and it doesn't just happen within the yogic tradition. For those of you who are having spontaneous awakenings, you're most likely calling them Kundalini activations, even if you don't practice Kundalini yoga. It's the yogic term for transformational energy awakening. So what's that? Well, in a nutshell, transformational energy awakening is the experience of assimilating light frequency codes, or energy, deep through the morphogenetic fields, or energy bodies, which then trigger dormant or junk DNA. The result is awakening, which can be sudden or slow building. So this is why you experience physiological symptoms as well as psychological ones. It's also why awakenings are so profound. Once you have awakened viscerally to the spiritual plane, you can't go back to the way you were before. It's like something switches on deep in your being. This is why awakenings can be so destabilizing. You go through a huge paradigm shift that affects how you relate to the world. It touches everything from your health to relationships, your goals, your values. It's a pretty big deal, and it can be overwhelming, especially if it's sudden. It can be even more confusing when it seems like everyone and their brother is uploading a new video about their Kundalini activation. So what's the truth? The truth is that awakenings are highly individual and they can last for months, if not years. So you're better off speaking to people like myself who have had their awakenings many years ago, because we've really had time to understand them by now in the context of the whole. So this is where I come in. As an indigo with 20 years behind me since I awakened, I've had the time to really integrate my experience. Plus, I've tried everything, all sorts of self-help modalities to advance my spiritual growth. I've dealt with all the pitfalls of ascension that people face along the way. And not only that, I can help you understand your process better because of my background as a teacher and language coach. I have this knack for explaining difficult things in easy to understand ways. Oh, and one more thing, I'm fully psychic. Yeah, really. As I progressed in my ascension, I began unlocking certain abilities as I raised my frequency. It's my belief that these abilities are latent in all human beings. They just need to be switched on. So with these added abilities of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance, which is the ability to instantly download from the 0-point field, and by being a fully functional empathic medium, I'm in a much better position to help you understand your unique process and get you where you want to go. Because ascension is different for everyone. There's no definitive guide to ascension. We all have our issues, our own past life karma, our own unique gifts, our own shadow selves, our own energy signatures. But I said I would explain the difference between Kundalini and Ascension. So I'd like to go back to the light codes for a moment. Remember how I said that Kundalini is also called a transformational energy awakening, and how this energy triggers DNA to produce an awakening? How does that work? Well, the transformational energy is transmitted to us directly via radiation from the sun or via the Earth's energy bodies called the planetary grids. So this happens at the quantum level. So when your latent DNA is activated by these light codes, you experience an awakening, which then begins the long process of ascension. So awakening comes first and then ascension, if you choose. But ascension isn't a destination or a place. Ascension describes the energetic and spiritual process of embodying the higher self, which is a choice that requires your participation. It doesn't just happen on its own. You rise up in consciousness to merge with the higher self. Bit by bit, the higher self braids into your conscious awareness. In Christian traditions, this is what is really meant by the descent of the Holy Spirit into the body. What I'd really like to do now is turn the camera around and ask you what brought you here. Are you going through an awakening? Have you had a Kundalini awakening and need some support? And if you haven't downloaded my free ebook, the Kundalini Survival Guide, go do that right now. But if you've had your awakening experience, I really urge you to share it. Spiritual awakening, since it's energetic, is also contagious. At the quantum level, we are all connected through our human DNA and via the planetary grids, which means that by sharing and talking about our awakenings, we can help others awaken, like the 100th monkey syndrome. Plus, the more we talk about raising consciousness, the more we can inform ourselves of how to do that for the betterment of humanity. I'm not talking about encouraging angry masses of people to gang up on each other or police each other. I'm talking about individuals becoming better people to change systems from the inside out. Think about your life and how much it's changed since awakening. Now think about that on a global scale. We're at a crucial time in history. Some would even say a crossroads. I like to think we're going to witness a new Renaissance period, another age of enlightenment. So share your experience, share your gift of awakening with the world. And if you need support along the way, I'm here to help with 3 different packages with different levels of support, plus add-ons for energy healing to help you through your ascension. There's something for everyone. So don't forget to download my free Kundalini Survival Guide available on my website. Thank you again for watching, and remember, your awakening is only the beginning.